Millionaire CEO took his daughter to work, but his assistant did the unthinkable. And he fell in love. Nicholas Hartman was a man who didn't believe in mixing business with emotion until one Tuesday morning when he walked into the office with an unexpected guest, his 6-year-old daughter. By the end of the day, she would turn his world upside down. And his assistant, the woman he thought he knew so well, would do something so unthinkable. It would break the walls he'd spent years building around his heart. Before we continue, if you enjoy touching and inspiring stories like this one, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Now, let's get back to the story. Nicholas Hartman had never been late for a meeting in his life, but that Tuesday morning, the doors to Hartman Enterprises' glass tower opened at 8:42 a.m., and he stepped inside, carrying a small, chattering whirlwind in a floral dress. Employees stopped what they were doing. Conversations froze. Nicholas Hartman, the man known for walking into the office like a storm front, was holding a tiny pink backpack in one hand and the small hand of his 6-year-old daughter in the other. "Daddy, look, your building has shiny floors." Rosie's voice rang out like a bell in the marble lobby. Her pink ballet flats made soft tapping sounds as she twirled, completely oblivious to the stares. Nicholas's jaw tightened. "Rosie, remember what I said about using your inside voice?" His tone was low, controlled, the same one that made board members rethink their arguments. Rosie, however, simply grinned. "I am using my inside voice. My outside voice is much louder." Nicholas didn't reply. Instead, he headed straight to the private elevator, his long strides forcing Rosie to skip every other step just to keep up. Behind him, whispers filled the air. Hartman never brought personal matters into work, ever. And now here he was, with a child. Up on the 42nd floor, Maya Ellison was already organizing his desk when she heard the elevator chime. She glanced at the clock. 8:44. Her boss was late. That alone was unusual. But when the elevator doors opened, her heart skipped a beat. Rosie's bright eyes scanned the room until they landed on her. Hi, are you Daddy's friend?" Maya blinked, momentarily caught off guard. I work with your daddy," she said, kneeling so she could be at the little girl's level. "And you must be Rosie." Rosie nodded vigorously. "Daddy said you're the boss of all the papers. Do you also draw unicorns?" Nicholas sighed. "Maya, my nanny quit this morning. No notice. She just left." His voice was clipped, but there was something under it. A hint of frustration, maybe even worry. "Rosie will be with me today." Maya straightened, still processing this new reality. "Of course, sir. I'll adjust the schedule." Before Nicholas could respond, Rosie tugged on Maya's sleeve. "Can you sit next to me? Daddy's chair is too big." Nicholas's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, frowning. "Board meeting in 10. Maya, could you—" He didn't finish. He didn't need to. Maya understood. Minutes later, Rosie was perched at the corner of Nicholas's vast office desk, coloring in a notebook Maya had found in her drawer. Nicholas was in the boardroom, his voice occasionally carrying through the glass walls. Every time he glanced over, Rosie was chattering softly to Maya or holding up a crayon drawing for her to see. During the meeting, Rosie pressed her lips close to Maya's ear. "Daddy looks grumpy. Is he always grumpy?" Maya bit back a smile. "He's focused." Rosie nodded, as if she understood perfectly. Then, leaning in even closer, she whispered, "I'm gonna make him smile today." Before Maya could ask what she meant, Rosie hopped down from her chair, her little shoes clicking against the floor as she trotted toward the kitchen corner. Maya's eyes widened. "Rosie, wait." Too late. The child had grabbed a paper cup, poured herself some water, and was now fiddling with the coffee machine. Maya rushed over. "Oh, sweetheart, this isn't a toy." "I'm making Daddy coffee. If he drinks coffee, maybe he'll smile." Maya gently took the cup from her hands, replacing it with a safer one of hot chocolate. "How about we give him this instead?" Rosie's eyes sparkled. With marshmallows? Of course, Maya said. When the meeting ended, Nicholas walked out, his gaze immediately falling on the two of them. Rosie giggling over her cup, Maya crouched beside her, brushing stray strands of hair from her face. Something in the scene made him pause. For a brief second, the sharp lines of his expression softened. He stood there a moment longer than necessary, watching them. It wasn't like him to hesitate before stepping into his own office. But something about that picture, Rosie's laughter, Maya leaning in to listen, kept him still. Then, almost as if catching himself, he looked away quickly, as though he didn't want anyone to notice. Then Rosie's plan unfolded. She hopped to her feet and marched toward him, holding the cup with both hands. "Daddy, I made you coffee, except it's not coffee." "'Cause Maya said coffee is yucky for kids." Nicholas took the cup automatically. "Thank you, Rosie, but I—" "Try it," she insisted. He sighed, but lifted it to his lips. The moment the sweet, chocolatey taste hit his tongue, Rosie burst out laughing. "See? You smiled." And he had, just barely. But the corners of his mouth had lifted, and Rosie had caught it. For the next hour, Rosie stuck to Maya like glue. She followed her into the copy room, asked her to staple pretend reports, and at one point convinced her to draw a giant unicorn on the whiteboard. Maya found herself laughing, actually laughing, in the middle of a Tuesday workday. On their way back to Nicholas's office, Aaron, the new administrative assistant, passed by Maya's desk and left a small cookie beside Rosie. "For creative energy," he joked, making the little girl giggle before hurrying off. By noon, Nicholas's patience was thinning. He found them in the break room. Rosie with chocolate on her cheek, Maya wiping it gently away with a napkin. "Maya," he said, his tone more commanding now, "we need to get back on track." But before he could pull Rosie away, the little girl tugged on his sleeve. "Daddy, can Maya come to lunch with us?" Nicholas hesitated. He had planned to eat at his desk, review contracts, yet something in Rosie's hopeful eyes, and the fact that Maya was suddenly avoiding his gaze, made him pause. "Fine," he said at last, "but we're eating downstairs. Quick lunch." As they rode the elevator down, Maya kept her hands folded neatly in front of her, as if she were holding herself together. Nicholas stood beside her, the faint scent of her perfume drifting in the air. Warm, subtle, unlike anything else in the sterile corporate building. Lunch was unexpectedly easy. Rosie chattered the whole time, filling silences that Nicholas normally preferred, but now didn't seem to mind as much. At one point, Maya laughed so hard at Rosie's story about a runaway hamster that she had to cover her mouth. Nicholas found himself watching her. Really watching her. The way her eyes crinkled when she laughed. The way she leaned forward to listen to Rosie's every word. It was distracting. They were halfway through sandwiches when Rosie dropped a bombshell. "Maya, do you have a boyfriend?" Maya froze mid-bite, cheeks warming. No." Rosie's smile widened. "Good, 'cause then you can marry Daddy." Nicholas almost choked on his water. Maya's eyes shot to his, searching for a reaction. For the briefest moment, his expression wasn't cold or guarded, it was unreadable. Something flickered there, something she couldn't name. Then his phone rang. He glanced at the screen, his face darkening. "I have to take this," he said, standing. "Maya, take Rosie back upstairs now." Maya nodded, gathering Rosie's things. But as they walked away, Rosie whispered to her, "Don't worry. I have a plan." Maya frowned. "What plan?" Rosie grinned mischievously. "A plan to make Daddy smile every day." Maya smiled, but made a mental note. She wasn't sure if she should take it seriously, but maybe she should. And in that moment, Maya didn't know whether to be amused or deeply concerned. Rosie has a mysterious plan involving her father and Maya, hinting that she's about to create situations that could bring them closer, whether they like it or not. Back on the 42nd floor, the air felt like glass, clear, tense, ready to crack if anyone breathed too loudly. Maya guided Rosie into Nicholas's office and sat her at the corner of the desk with a neat stack of printer paper and a handful of markers. Behind the glass wall, Nicholas paced on a call, one hand tucked in his pocket, the other pressed to his ear. His voice stayed even, surgical, as if emotion were something he'd trained himself not to touch. "Okay," Maya whispered, crouching to meet Rosie's eyes. "New rule, we draw quietly, we sit quietly, we do everything quietly." Rosie nodded, very serious. "Quiet like a ninja." "Exactly." For 5 whole minutes, the only sounds were keys tapping and markers skimming across paper. Rosie's tongue poked out at the corner of her mouth as she drew. Maya watched the clock, then the calendar, then the light on the coffee machine, as if it were a ticking bomb. Rosie slid a folded page toward her. "For you." Maya opened it and blinked. 3 stick figures holding hands. A tall one with spiky hair, a medium one with long waves, and a small one in a dress with 2 little triangles for ribbons. Above them in block letters, "Family." "It's us," Rosie said in a proud whisper. "You, me, Daddy." Maya's chest tightened. "It's beautiful, Rosie." The boardroom door opened. Nicholas stepped out, the glass catching his reflection and splitting it. His eyes landed on the drawing in Maya's hand, then on Rosie, then back to Maya. His expression shifted by a fraction, barely enough to notice if you weren't paying attention. "We have the Brindle Tech call in 20, Maya said, steady and efficient again. Nicholas nodded. "Rosie, stay with Maya." Rosie saluted. "Yes, Captain Daddy." The corner of his mouth twitched, there and gone. By early afternoon, the floor found a strange rhythm. Maya moved like she always did. Except now she had a 6-year-old shadow who wanted to organize everything by rainbow order. The first incident broke the calm at exactly 1:12 p.m. One of the analysts peered in, holding a printout. Maya, did you mean to send this to every machine on the floor?" He flipped it around. "A lopsided unicorn." Big bubble letters, "Smile." Maya's stomach dropped. She turned. Rosie stood by the nearest printer with her hands clasped behind her back, rocking on her heels. "It was going to be a surprise," Rosie said, very pleased, "so nobody forgets." They did a swift sweep down the aisle, around the corner, past glassed-in offices, collecting as many unicorns as they could before they reached someone who might not find it funny. People peered over their monitors and tried not to grin. A coder stuck his thumb up. A paralegal mouthed, "Cute." The strictest floor in the building was almost charmed. They returned to Nicholas's door just as he walked out. He took in the tower of papers in Rosie's arms and the guilt on Maya's face. "What is all this?" he asked. "It was my fault," Maya said quickly. "I left my computer unlocked." She pressed print. Nicholas's eyes cooled. Then he looked at Rosie. Pink ribbons, flushed cheeks, and the edges softened. "We don't print improvements to every machine." Rosie lifted the top sheet. Hopeful. "Can we keep one?" Silence stretched for a heartbeat. Then Nicholas pointed to the wall by the window. "One." Straight. Rosie beamed. She taped the unicorn there, crooked anyway. The afternoon sun hit it and threw a small rainbow across the edge of his desk. The Brindle Tech call started at 2. 2 teams on speaker, 2 million ways to lose leverage. Nicholas sat, posture like a sealed envelope, voice clean as glass. While he negotiated, Rosie built a report castle from blank paper and binder clips, humming under her breath. Every time Nicholas's tone sharpened, Rosie peeked over the desk, worried. "He needs hot chocolate," she whispered. "Not right now," Maya whispered back. 2 minutes later, Rosie had disappeared. Maya felt it before she saw it. She stood suddenly, scanning the hall. "Rosie?" Through the glass, Nicholas's eyes cut to the empty chair. He muted the call mid-sentence and headed for the door. They found Rosie standing on a chair by the coffee machine, tiny hands reaching for buttons with stubborn concentration. I said, Not right now, Maya said, gentle but breathless. I'm fixing Daddy, Rosie explained, as if that settled everything. Nicholas reached the chair and lifted her down. No more machines today, he said. His voice wasn't angry. It was tired in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. Rosie studied his face, then wrapped her arms around his neck and squeezed. Something in Nicholas went unguarded for half a second. Maya looked away and wiped a spill that didn't exist. Back in the office, Nicholas unmuted, took control, and closed the deal in 11 minutes flat. When the call ended, he leaned back and looked at Maya like he could finally see past the task list. Good work on the revised term, he said. Thank you. And thank you for managing things. He didn't look at the unicorn, but the rainbow still touched the corner of his desk. Of course. At 2:58 p.m., the floor glowed with the restless light that comes before another storm. It arrived as a soft whoosh from Maya's monitor. She turned. An email had just been sent from Nicholas's account. Subject 3:00 p.m. Smile break. Message. Hot chocolate on 42. Please take 5 minutes to breathe. Maya whipped around. Rosie sat at her chair, hands in her lap, eyes bright with victory. Rosie, Maya said, voice quiet but urgent, did you send an email from your father's account? I used his finger when he picked me up, Rosie whispered, like a magician confessing a trick. He wasn't looking. I did it for smiling. Pings began to echo across the floor. Heads popped up. People checked their phones, then checked one another. Is this real? Nicholas stepped into the doorway, phone in hand, expression unreadable. Who sent that? I'll tell them it was a mistake, Maya blurted, already moving. Don't, Nicholas said. He stepped into the hall. Conversations stalled. He lifted a hand, not to silence, but to steady. Apparently, he said, voice even, my calendar thinks we all need 5 minutes. Take 5 on me. Someone actually laughed, then clapped once before catching themselves. Cups appeared. Marshmallows materialized from a drawer no one had opened in months. The floor breathed. Not loud, not wild, just softer. Maya watched from the doorway. Nicholas came back, calm, restored, but his eyes weren't as cold. You didn't have to cover for her, he said quietly. I usually do, she said. It wasn't a complaint. I know, he didn't add anything, but there was a thank you tucked into the space between words. Rosie tugged at Maya's sleeve, foam mustache on her lip. It worked, she whispered. Daddy smiled in his eyes. Maya glanced up. He wasn't smiling, but something warm lingered. By 3:40, cups were tossed, schedules resumed, and the unicorn still watched from the wall like a tiny rebel. The second incident landed at 3:47, bigger and brighter than the first. Maya's calendar flashed and reshuffled. Calls hopped. A follow-up slid to tomorrow. And a bold new event blinked into existence at the top. Family time. Mandatory per income. Time 4:30 p.m. Room, executive lounge guests, entire executive team. Notes, bring a story to share, hot chocolate provided. Maya clicked, praying it was a glitch. Owner, Nicholas Hartman, her pulse spiked. She turned to Rosie, who was already swaying side to side, proud of herself. Rosie, did you do anything else with your dad's phone? I made part 2, Rosie said. Nicholas's phone chimed. He checked the screen. For the first time all day, his composure cracked. My office, he said low. Now. Maya walked in. The door clicked shut. Nicholas stood by his desk with the event open, the light from the screen cutting a clean line across his jaw. Tell me you didn't do this, he said. Maya opened her mouth to take the blame, then closed it. The truth sat between them like a fragile glass. Before she could choose, a small voice spoke from behind her. Daddy, I did. Nicholas's eyes moved from Rosie to the glass wall, where a few executives were already peeking at their phones. Pings fluttered up and down the corridor like tiny alarms. The CFO, Miranda, appeared at the door, eyebrows lifted, mouth ready to tease. So, Are we really doing this at 4? The question hung in the air like a held breath. Nicholas looked at Rosie, braids, ribbons, hope, and then at Maya, who stood steady, ready to absorb whatever came next. He glanced at the unicorn on the wall, then at the calendar on his screen, then at the floor outside where his people waited to see what kind of leader he wanted to be today. His answer would shift more than a half-hour block. The second hand on the clock clicked. "Sir?" Miranda prompted, half amused, half incredulous. Nicholas inhaled, decision gathering. And just as he opened his mouth, a new notification flashed across his phone, one name on the screen that could unravel the whole afternoon. Nicholas stared at the name flashing on his phone. For a moment, it was as if everything in the room froze. The quiet hum of the air conditioner, the muffled sounds from the hallway, even Rosie's small shifting on her feet. Maya couldn't see the name, but she could see Nicholas's reaction. It was subtle, but she'd worked for him long enough to recognize it. The way his shoulders stiffened. The way he inhaled through his nose, slow and controlled. He swiped the call away. "We'll start at 4, he said finally, turning to Miranda. Miranda blinked. "We're actually doing the family time thing?" Nicholas's eyes cut to Rosie, who was beaming like she'd just won a prize. "We're doing it," he said. Voice flat, leaving no room for argument. Miranda gave a little shrug. "Well, this should be interesting," she muttered, before disappearing. The news spread quickly. Half the executives were intrigued. The other half looked like they'd just been told to attend a mandatory karaoke session. By 3:59, the executive lounge had been transformed from its usual cold, minimalist space into something warmer, though Maya suspected that was less the decor and more Rosie's presence. She was busy arranging marshmallows in little bowls, humming a tune Maya didn't recognize. Nicholas arrived exactly on time. No tie, jacket still off. He stood at the front, hands in his pockets, scanning the room like he was about to launch into a quarterly earnings report. "This wasn't my idea," he began, "but maybe that's the point." Rosie's eyes shone as she bounced on the balls of her feet. "Apparently," Nicholas continued, "we're going to spend 30 minutes not talking about numbers or contracts or market projections. We're going to share a story." A few people chuckled awkwardly. No one moved. Maya felt the awkwardness threaten to choke the air, so she stepped forward. "I'll start," she said, her voice steady but warm. She told a short, light-hearted story about her first job, how she'd accidentally sent a birthday cake to the wrong department and ended up eating it with a group of strangers. By the time she finished, there were genuine smiles in the room. One by one, others followed. Funny travel mishaps, embarrassing teenage moments, even Miranda's tale of accidentally dyeing her hair green before a major presentation. The tension eased. Laughter bubbled up, unforced. While everyone laughed, Maya noticed Miranda lingering near the back. She wasn't laughing now, just watching. For a brief second, her eyes moved from Nicholas to Maya with something that felt calculated. Nicholas didn't tell a story, but Maya caught him listening, really listening, to each person. His gaze softened every time Rosie giggled. When the 30 minutes were up, people lingered. Some stayed for more hot chocolate. A few even thanked Rosie directly. Maya saw something in Nicholas's expression then, something he tried to hide, but not quite fast enough. As the crowd thinned, Nicholas crouched to Rosie's level. "You did well," he said quietly. Rosie's grin widened. "You smiled, twice." He didn't deny it. Back in his office, Nicholas's phone buzzed again with the same name from earlier. This time, he didn't ignore it. He excused himself and stepped out, closing the door behind him. Maya occupied Rosie with another drawing, but she couldn't help glancing at the glass wall. Nicholas's back was to them, his voice low and tight. At one point, he pinched the bridge of his nose. Rosie noticed, too. "Who's he talking to?" "I don't know," Maya said gently. "It's probably work." Rosie frowned. It's not work. He gets that face when it's not work. Maya didn't ask how she knew. Nicholas returned 10 minutes later, his expression unreadable. Maya, I need you to clear my schedule tomorrow afternoon, he said. For what? She asked. Personal matter? His tone was clipped, making it clear there'd be no further explanation. She nodded, jotting it down, but her mind was already trying to piece together what could shake him enough to agree to an impromptu family time one moment and then retreat so sharply the next. At 5:30, the office began to empty. Nicholas had an after-hours meeting, so Maya offered to walk Rosie downstairs to wait for him. The lobby was quieter now, the setting sun casting long shadows across the marble floor. They sat on a bench near the window. Rosie swung her legs, looking pensive. Maya? She said suddenly. Yes? Do you think my daddy's lonely? The question landed heavy in the space between them. Why do you ask? Rosie shrugged, but her voice was small. He's always working. He never brings anyone home, except me. Maya hesitated. I think your daddy works a lot because he wants to make sure you're taken care of. That doesn't mean he doesn't feel lonely sometimes. Rosie looked up at her. Looked up. Maybe you could fix that. Maya's throat tightened. She started to reply, but Nicholas appeared, striding toward them. Rosie hopped up and ran to him. The ride down in the elevator was quiet. At the ground floor, Nicholas paused before they stepped out. Maya, thank you for today. She gave a small smile. Just doing my job. His gaze held hers for a second longer than necessary. Not everything you did today was your job. Before she could respond, he walked ahead, Rosie in tow. That night, Maya couldn't shake the image of him crouching to tell Rosie she'd done well, or the rare, unguarded look in his eyes when he'd watched the team laugh. She also couldn't shake the question Rosie had asked in the lobby. She told herself she'd keep things professional, like always. But she had a feeling tomorrow wouldn't make that easy. The next morning, Maya arrived early, as usual. At 8:15, Nicholas walked in alone. No Rosie this time. He looked more guarded than he had yesterday, like the walls had gone back up overnight. Your calendar's clear after 2, Maya confirmed. Good, he said. Then, almost as an afterthought, Rosie's staying with a friend today. The morning passed in a blur of calls and paperwork. It wasn't until 1:45 that Nicholas finally picked up his coat. I'll be gone the rest of the afternoon. I'll call if I need anything. Maya nodded. Of course. He left without saying where he was going. Hours later, Nicholas returned just before 5. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes, there was something there. Something unsettled. Maya, he said, stopping at her desk. Cancel tomorrow's morning meeting with Reynolds. She noted it, then glanced up. Everything all right? There was a beat of silence. We might have a visitor tomorrow. 2 hours after the hearing, the elevator opened, and to Maya's surprise, Rosie came running down the corridor, braids bouncing. The visit with Mommy ended early, Nicholas explained as the little girl threw herself into his arms. Daddy, she squealed. Maya blinked. I thought she was with a friend. She was, Nicholas said, until plans changed. He didn't elaborate. Rosie rushed to Maya's side and pulled something from her backpack, a photo. It was slightly crumpled, like it had been carried around all day. This is my mommy, Rosie said. She wants to see me tomorrow. Maya felt the air shift. She looked at Nicholas, but his face gave nothing away. Rosie added, almost shyly, and maybe she wants to see you too, Daddy. Nicholas's jaw tightened. Rosie, but before he could finish, Rosie turned to Maya. You'll be there too, right? Maya opened her mouth, caught between instinct and uncertainty. Nicholas's phone buzzed again, same name. This time he didn't silence it. Tomorrow, he said quietly to Maya, might not go the way you think. Tomorrow, Rosie's mother's coming, and her arrival could change everything between Nicholas, Maya, and Rosie. The morning in Nicholas's office was still, but the stillness wasn't calm. Maya placed 2 mugs on the credenza, 1 coffee, 1 hot chocolate with marshmallows, and glanced at the guest badge on his desk. Rosie sat on the carpet, drawing with intense focus. "Do you think she'll like pink?" Rosie asked, coloring. "I think she'll love it," Maya said. Nicholas stood by the window, sleeves rolled, eyes on the skyline. He hadn't said much all morning. At 10:02, the elevator chimed. Rosie jumped up, paper in hand. Maya straightened her blouse. The door opened to a woman in her early 30s, light trench coat, neat ponytail, eyes bright with nerves. "Elena," Nicholas said evenly. "Nicholas," she replied, then spotted Rosie. "Hi, baby." "Mommy!" Rosie ran to her, nearly knocking the drawing. Elena knelt, hugging her tight. "You're taller," she murmured. "I tied my own ribbons," Rosie said proudly. "Maya taught me." Elena looked at Maya. "You must be Maya." "That's me," Maya replied, smiling politely. "Rosie's very proud of her bows." "Thank you," Elena said softly. Nicholas gestured toward the seating area. They moved cautiously, Rosie planted on her mom's lap, Nicholas in the chair opposite, Maya nearby. Rosie held out the drawing. "It's us," Elena traced it. "Perfect. Can I keep it?" "You have to." "It's a rule," Rosie said, making her laugh. The air grew heavy again. "I should go first," Elena said. "I'm sorry for leaving. I wasn't well. I told myself I'd come back when I could stay. It took longer than I thought, but I'm better now. I don't want to take Rosie away from her life. I just want to be part of it." Nicholas's jaw tightened. 2 years, Elena." "I know." Elena turned to Rosie. "How about Saturday mornings?" 2 hours? There's a children's museum with a planet room. With stars on the ceiling? Rosie's eyes lit up. "And constellations." Rosie glanced between her dad and Maya. "Can Maya come?" Nicholas's gaze flicked to Maya, unreadable. "We'll see." "No surprises," he told Elena. "Clear schedules. Drop-offs here." "Understood," she said, then pulled a folder from her bag. "I wrote Rosie letters over the past year. I'd like her to have them, if that's okay." Nicholas nodded once. Elena handed them to Maya. "Would you keep these safe for her?" "I will," Maya said. Rosie suddenly grinned. "Can we get ice cream now?" "All of us?" Nicholas hesitated, but Maya offered, "Downstairs cafe is quiet now. They have sprinkles." Elena smiled faintly. "An hour?" Nicholas glanced at his phone, the same name that had called yesterday, but silenced it. An hour. The 4 of them took the private elevator. At the cafe, Rosie picked strawberry with more sprinkles than gravity allows, and sat between her parents. Maya took the end seat, watching Rosie's hand alternate between her mom's wrist and her dad's sleeve. Elena caught a drip before it fell. "You still eat like you're racing," she teased. "So does he," Rosie said, pointing at Nicholas, who coughed to hide a smile. Maya asked Elena about the planet room. Elena described the domed ceiling and soft music. Rosie decided she wanted to learn Orion because it sounds like a dragon. She wandered a few steps away to grab more crayons from her backpack. Nicholas watched her go, then spoke quietly to Maya. "She's been through more than a child her age should have." There was something in his voice Maya hadn't heard before, a vulnerability she didn't expect. For a moment, it almost felt simple. Then a man in a blazer noticed them, looked twice, and walked on. Elena's posture shifted. Nicholas murmured, "Let's limit public places for now." She agreed. Back upstairs, Elena stopped at the office door. "Saturday, 2 hours. If Rosie's more comfortable." "Would you come too, Maya? I know it's not your job." Rosie squeezed Maya's hand. "Please?" Nicholas studied Maya. "We'll discuss tonight. Thank you for asking." "I'm trying to do this right," Elena said. She hugged Rosie again before stepping towards the elevator. When the doors closed, Nicholas exhaled. "You did well," he told Rosie. "She did," Maya agreed. "Are we happy now?" Rosie asked. "We're starting," Maya said gently. Nicholas's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, and his expression changed. Maya took the phone. Court moved up your status hearing to 6 p.m. today. Opposing counsel requests custody update. Today? Maya asked. Nicholas nodded. Rosie touched his arm. Do we have to go to court? You don't, he said. I do. Another ping, Miranda. Do you want me there? Then one from an unknown number. I didn't ask for this. Can we talk before you go? Elena. The elevator chimed. Elena stepped back into the office. Cheeks flushed. I just got the same notice. Nicholas, I didn't file this. My lawyer did. I told her to wait. She looked at Maya, then Rosie. Please don't let this turn into a battle. Rosie's fingers slid into Maya's. What happens now? Nicholas's eyes moved between them. We decide, he said quietly. Right now. The room held its breath. The custody hearing is hours away, and Nicholas must choose his next move, with both Maya and Elena watching. The air in Nicholas's office was so thick, Maya thought she could hear her own pulse. Rosie's hand was still wrapped around her fingers, small and warm. But the child's voice was quiet now. Nicholas didn't look away from Elena. If you didn't file, then who's pushing this hearing forward? Elena shook her head quickly. My attorney thought it would show I was serious about reestablishing custody. I told her to wait, but she said it might be better to act now. Nicholas's jaw flexed. Act now without asking me? She thought, Elena began, then stopped. No, I should have been clear. Rosie's eyes moved between them. Is this about me? Maya crouched to her level. It's about making sure everything's okay for you. Are you mad at Mommy? Rosie asked her father. Nicholas crouched too, matching her height. I'm not mad at you or Mommy, but there are rules we have to follow, grown-up rules. Rosie nodded, though she didn't look convinced. Nicholas straightened, turning to Maya. Call Simon. I want him in my office within the hour. Your lawyer? She confirmed. Yes, and clear the rest of my day, except the hearing. Maya nodded. Already typing. Elena stepped forward. Can we talk before Simon gets here? Alone? Nicholas hesitated, then glanced at Maya. Stay with Rosie in the break room. Get her a snack. Rosie looked like she wanted to protest, but Maya smiled. Come on, let's see if the marshmallow jar is still full. In the break room, Rosie nibbled at a cookie, but her mind was clearly somewhere else. Do you think they'll fight? Maya chose her words carefully. I think they'll try to figure things out. Sometimes that sounds like fighting, but it's not always bad. Sometimes Daddy talks like ice, Rosie said softly. When people talk like ice, they get colder. Maya wished she could promise warmth. I think he's learning how to be less ice. Rosie's eyes lifted. 'Cause of you? The question caught Maya off guard. Maybe because of a lot of things. You're one of them. Rosie thought about that, then smiled a little. Then, maybe we can help him melt faster. Back in Nicholas's office, Simon sat across from him, flipping through papers. The request is formal, but not aggressive, Simon explained. They're asking for a review of visitation and the possibility of joint custody within 6 months. Nicholas's voice was low. And if I oppose? Then it becomes a drawn-out process, Simon said. But from what I gather, Elena's been making changes. Steady job, stable housing, therapy records. If you block this outright, the court might think you're being inflexible. Elena, sitting stiffly in the other chair, added, I'm not asking to take Rosie away. I just want to be part of her life again. Officially, Nicholas's gaze didn't soften. You left. You didn't call for months. Now you want trust without earning it. I'm trying to earn it, Elena said, her voice steady, even as her hands twisted in her lap. Maya re-entered with Rosie, who immediately sensed the tension. What's happening? She asked. Nicholas knelt beside her again. We're going to a place where people help decide what's fair for families. I'll be there. Mommy will be there. You don't have to go. Will Maya be there? Rosie asked. Nicholas hesitated. Maya has work. I can be there. Maya said quietly, surprising herself. Both Nicholas and Elena looked at her. For support, Maya added, for Rosie. Even if she's not in the room, she'll want to know someone she trusts is nearby. Nicholas's eyes searched hers for a moment before he gave a small nod. All right. By late afternoon, they were in the courthouse waiting area. Rosie stayed with Maya in the small cafe across the street, sipping hot chocolate, while Nicholas and Elena went inside with their attorneys. Time dragged. Maya kept glancing at the clock, wondering what was being said, what kind of future was being shaped behind those heavy wooden doors. Rosie drew another picture, this one of two houses with a rainbow between them. This is Daddy's house, Rosie explained, pointing at one, and this is Mommy's. The rainbow is for visiting. Maya smiled softly. It's beautiful. Do you think they'll like it? Rosie asked. I think they'll understand it. When Nicholas finally emerged an hour later, his expression was unreadable, but his shoulders carried weight. Elena followed, looking both relieved and nervous. Rosie ran to him. What happened? Nicholas crouched to her. We agreed to try Saturday mornings like we talked about. For now, it's just visits. We'll see how it goes. Rosie looked at her mom, then back at her dad, and grinned. So, the rainbow is real? Nicholas almost smiled. The rainbow is real. Outside, as they headed for the car, Elena slowed. Nicholas, thank you. I know this isn't easy. It's not about easy, he said. It's about Rosie. Their eyes held for a moment before Elena turned to Maya. Thank you for everything today? Maya nodded. I hope it works out for all of you. Rosie tugged on Maya's sleeve. It will, 'cause we have a plan. Maya smiled faintly. Another plan? Rosie nodded with certainty. This one's even better. Nicholas looked between them, suspicious but too tired to ask. Back in the car, Rosie fell asleep almost instantly in her booster seat, clutching the rainbow drawing. Nicholas drove in silence for several minutes before speaking. You didn't have to be there today. I know, Maya said. I wanted to be. He glanced at her briefly, something unreadable in his eyes. Rosie's right. You make things different. Maya didn't respond, unsure what to do with the warmth in those words. When they pulled up to his building, Nicholas turned off the engine, but didn't get out right away. There's going to be a lot of changes in the next few weeks. I'll need you to adjust. I can do that, Maya said. His eyes lingered on hers a moment longer before he nodded. Good. As they entered the lobby, the doorman handed Nicholas a sealed envelope. This just arrived for you, sir. No return address. Nicholas opened it on the elevator. Inside was a single photo. Nicholas, Maya, and Rosie at the park, taken from a distance. Rosie was laughing, Nicholas leaning toward her, Maya holding a juice cup. On the back, in small, neat handwriting, you can't keep your family from being seen. Nicholas's jaw tightened. Maya felt a chill run through her. He slipped the photo back into the envelope and met her eyes. Don't say anything to Rosie, he said quietly. Maya nodded, but her stomach knotted. This wasn't part of any custody hearing. This was something else. The elevator doors opened, and Rosie stirred, still holding her rainbow. She yawned, unaware of the shadow that had just entered their day. Who sent the photo? And what do they want with Rosie? Nicholas slipped the envelope into his jacket pocket as they stepped out of the elevator. His expression had turned to stone again, the kind that made even the most confident executives choose their words carefully. Rosie blinked sleepily, unaware of the shift in the air. Can I watch a cartoon before dinner? Yes, Nicholas said without looking at her. Ask Maya to put it on. Maya hesitated. I can do that. While Rosie curled up on the sofa, Maya followed Nicholas into his study and closed the door. That photo... Not now, he said sharply, pacing toward the window. She was at a playground in that picture. That means whoever took it was close enough to... I know what it means. His voice was low, controlled, but the tension in it made her stop mid-sentence. He pulled out his phone, dialed, and waited. "David, I need you to pull every security feed from the West Park in the last 48 hours. Cross-check with the building's visitor logs. Call me when you have something." Maya folded her arms. "Are you going to tell Elena?" Nicholas paused, jaw tight. "Not yet. She's Rosie's mother." "And she's also just been given visitation rights," Nicholas interrupted. "If she thinks Rosie's in danger, she'll panic. That could jeopardize everything." Maya wanted to argue, but the weight in his voice made her swallow the words. The rest of the evening, Nicholas acted as though nothing had happened. He sat beside Rosie during her cartoon, answered a few work emails, even asked her about the planet room she'd be visiting Saturday. But Maya could see the calculation in his eyes, every movement of Rosie's, every sound outside the window. When Rosie was finally asleep, Maya gathered her things. "Do you want me to check in tomorrow about the park footage?" "Yes," Nicholas said, still at his desk. "And Maya," he looked up, "don't mention this to anyone." "Not Elena, not Miranda, no one. Until I know what I'm dealing with." She nodded, though unease twisted in her chest. The next morning, the office felt almost normal, except Nicholas was already there when Maya arrived, which rarely happened. A man in a black suit was in his office, laying out photographs and printed maps on the desk. Nicholas waved Maya in. "This is David. He's a friend." David's handshake was firm, his eyes scanning her as if measuring what she knew. "We found the angle the photo was taken from," he said, pointing to a spot on a park map. "No visible cameras in direct range, but 2 within 30 meters. "And?" Nicholas asked. David slid a still image across the desk, grainy but clear enough to see a figure in a dark hoodie holding a phone. The person's face was turned away, but something about the posture, shoulders hunched, weight forward, made Maya's stomach twist. "Could be anyone," David said. "But here's the strange part. This same figure shows up in building security footage from 3 days ago. In the lobby. Didn't sign in, left within 5 minutes. Nicholas's eyes hardened. "Find them." By mid-morning, Maya tried to focus on the usual tasks, emails, scheduling, documents, but her mind kept circling back to the photo. She found herself glancing toward the street every few minutes, scanning for hoodies. Rosie arrived just before lunch with Elena for her first short visit to the office since the hearing. Maya noticed Nicholas watching the lobby cameras as they came in. Rosie burst into the office with a new drawing. "It's Orion," she announced. "Mommy showed me the stars on her phone last night." "That's great." "Sweetheart," Nicholas said, but his eyes flicked past her to the window. Maya caught Elena studying him. "Is something wrong?" Elena asked. "No," Nicholas said too quickly. After lunch, Maya walked Rosie to the break room for a snack, while Nicholas and Elena spoke in low voices. Rosie leaned against the counter, sipping juice. "Maya, are you coming on Saturday?" she asked suddenly. "If you want me to." "I do. You make things feel normal." Rosie hesitated. "Sometimes Daddy gets really quiet when he's scared, but I think you can hear it." Maya's hand stilled on the countertop. "Why do you think he's scared?" "'Cause he watches the windows a lot," Rosie said simply. "He only does that when he's worried." Back in the office, David returned with a flash drive. Nicholas plugged it in, scanning through clips. The hooded figure appeared again, this time in the corner of the park, standing still for almost 10 minutes, facing the playground. Maya's breath caught. "That's deliberate." "Which means it's not random," Nicholas said. Elena, who'd walked in mid-clip, froze. "What is that?" Nicholas shut the laptop. "Nothing you need to worry about." Elena stepped closer, eyes sharp. "Don't you dare shut me out if Rosie's in danger." "She's not," Nicholas began, but stopped when Rosie came bounding in. "Can we go to the cafe again?" she asked, oblivious to the tension. Maya forced a smile. "Maybe later." When Elena left with Rosie at the end of the visit, Nicholas stood at the window, watching until they disappeared from view. "David will follow them," he said without turning. Maya's stomach tightened. Do you think they'll try something today? I don't know, but I'm not taking chances. That night, Maya was home when her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You care about her. That makes you part of this now. Attached was another photo, taken that afternoon in the break room. Maya was holding a cup of coffee, Nicholas was visible through the glass in the background, and Rosie was at a table coloring. Whoever sent it had captured them all in one frame. She called Nicholas immediately. I just got a photo of me with Rosie from inside the office. Silence then. Forward it to me. And lock your door. What is going on? She demanded. I'll explain when I get there. 20 minutes later, Nicholas was at her apartment, David right behind him. He set the photo on her table. This wasn't from our cameras, he said, which means someone had a device in the building or access to someone who works there. Maya's pulse pounded. So it's not just watching Rosie, it's watching all of us? Nicholas's gaze met hers, sharp and unwavering. Until we know who this is, you don't go anywhere alone with Rosie. And you tell me everything, every strange text, every face you don't recognize. Maya nodded slowly. And if they contact me again? You tell me before you breathe, Nicholas said. As he left, Maya caught the briefest flicker in his eyes, not fear exactly, but something dangerously close to it. She realized then that whatever walls Nicholas had, this threat was forcing him to pull her inside them, whether either of them was ready or not. When the door closed, Maya stared at the photo again. Rosie's smile was wide, but now it looked like a target. The stalker has infiltrated the office. Someone inside might be helping them. The next morning, Hartman Enterprises felt different. Not the kind of difference you could name, but one you could feel. The way people's eyes lingered a second too long, the way conversations seemed to cut off when you walked by. Nicholas arrived earlier than usual. Maya was already at her desk, reviewing the day's schedule, but her mind kept drifting to the text she'd received last night. She had hardly slept. He stopped beside her. You didn't get anything else? No, Maya said. Just that photo. Good. His voice was clipped. David's in the building. He'll be watching the feeds. If anything happens, you call him before me. She frowned. Why before you? Because if I'm in the middle of a meeting with the wrong person, I don't want to tip them off. It took a second for his meaning to sink in. You think it's someone here? I think it's possible, Nicholas said, and I think they're watching us to see what we know. At 10, Rosie arrived with Elena for her second scheduled visit. Maya noticed Nicholas's gaze go to the security camera monitor before greeting them. Rosie bounded toward Maya. I made a planet mobile for my room. Mommy helped me glue the stars. That sounds amazing, Maya said, kneeling to her. You'll have to show me sometime. Nicholas excused himself to take a call, leaving Maya and Elena with Rosie. Elena seemed calmer today, but her eyes kept scanning the office. Has something happened? She asked under her breath. Maya hesitated. Why do you ask? Because Nicholas is watching the doors like they might disappear, Elena replied. Maya's mind flashed to the hooded figure, the photos, the text. He's just being cautious. By midday, David had discreetly installed a new set of microcameras in the hallways leading to Nicholas's office. Maya caught a glimpse of him reviewing the feeds in the conference room, his expression unreadable. Then, just after lunch, something strange happened. Nicholas's internal email sent out a meeting invite, not from his calendar, but from a shared scheduling account. Subject: Rosie's surprise, 3:00 p.m. Location: West Park Playground. Attendees: Nicholas Hartman, Maya Ellison, Rosie Hartman. Maya's stomach dropped. She marched to Nicholas's office. Did you send this? He scanned it once, then deleted it without hesitation. That's not me, which means someone in this building has access to our internal scheduling tools. David appeared in the doorway. Already on it. Whoever sent it covered their tracks, but not well enough. I'll have a list within the hour. At 2:45, David returned with a printout. 3 possible terminals. One's in the copy room, one's in an unused cubicle on 29, and the third... He paused. Reception desk? Nicholas's eyes narrowed. Who's on reception today? Maya didn't want to believe it. Emily. She's been here 2 years. She bakes cookies for Rosie. David's look was flat. People with access don't always look dangerous. Nicholas stood. I'll talk to her. They found Emily at the front desk, smiling as she answered a call. When she saw Nicholas, she straightened immediately. Emily, Nicholas said, who had access to your station this morning? No one, she said, confused. Why? David placed the printout on the counter. This came from your terminal. Her face paled. I swear I didn't. Wait. She glanced toward the lobby doors. The delivery guy. He dropped a package for 28, said the label was smudged and needed me to sign. I stepped away for maybe a minute to check. Describe him, David said. Emily hesitated. Tall, hoodie under a jacket. I thought he was just cold. Nicholas's jaw tightened. Call building security. Pull the footage. Back in the office, Maya found Rosie coloring at her desk. Is Daddy mad? Rosie asked. No, Maya said softly. He's just trying to keep you safe. Rosie considered that, then held up her drawing, a picture of her, Nicholas, and Maya standing under a giant shield. This is us. Nobody gets past the shield. Maya smiled, but it felt thin. By 4, David returned with still images from the lobby camera. The delivery man's face was partially obscured, but the build matched the figure from the park footage. He's bold, David said, coming in here twice in a week. Nicholas studied the image. Too bold, which means he wants us to know he's watching. Why? Maya asked. David shrugged. That's the part I don't like. When Elena came to pick up Rosie, Nicholas pulled her aside. For the next few weeks, you don't go anywhere public with her unless you tell me first, and you keep your phone on. Elena's eyes sharpened. What's going on? Nothing you need to worry about, he said. But his tone made it clear she should worry anyway. She looked at Maya. You know, don't you? Maya hesitated. I know he's trying to protect her. Elena nodded slowly, though suspicion lingered in her eyes. That evening, as Maya packed her things, Nicholas stopped her. You'll ride with me tomorrow morning. Why? Because if this person is inside the building, they may try to get to you before they get to me. Maya felt a chill. Do you really think they'll... I don't know, he said, and I'm not waiting to find out. Later that night, Maya's phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. Nice shield in the drawing. Shame it won't last. Attached was a photo of the picture Rosie had made that afternoon, taken from the top of Maya's desk sometime between 2 and 4. Maya stared at it, her pulse loud in her ears. Whoever this was, they weren't just inside the building, they'd been in the office while Rosie was there. The stalker isn't outside. They've already been in Nicholas's private office. Nicholas didn't raise his voice when Maya showed him the message, but his eyes sharpened like glass under pressure. He turned the phone toward David, who stood at the corner of the desk. They were inside this office, Nicholas said flatly. David studied the image. Angles too high to be from the hallway cameras. This was taken from inside, probably while you were out with Elena and Rosie. Maya's mind raced, but the door was locked. Locks can be bypassed, David said. The real question is, by who? Nicholas straightened. Shut down elevator access to this floor for anyone without an escort. Change the keycard codes by noon. David nodded and left. Nicholas leaned on the desk, hands braced. I told you to report everything. When did you get this? 5 minutes ago, Maya said. I came straight here. His gaze held hers, and for a moment she saw something under the control, something protective, almost personal. Good. Keep it that way. The next morning, the 42nd floor felt like a sealed vault. Security guards were posted at the elevator. Everyone entering had to scan in twice. Rosie arrived with Elena for her third visit. She noticed the guards immediately. Why are there police here? They're helpers, Maya said, crouching to her level. They make sure everyone in the building is safe. Elena glanced quickly at Maya. Yesterday you said everything was fine. Then she looked from Maya to Nicholas. Is this about what happened yesterday? Nicholas's jaw tightened. Yesterday? I came to pick up Rosie, and there were 2 security guys in the lobby, Elena said. One of them followed us to the car. That was for safety, Nicholas replied, his tone leaving no room for more questions. By mid-morning, David returned with a small black device in a clear evidence bag. Found this in the vent above your desk, he told Nicholas. Maya leaned closer. What is it? A pinhole camera with remote access, David said. Battery-powered. Whoever put it there didn't just want to watch. They wanted to listen, too. Nicholas's face darkened. Can you trace it? Already working on it, David said. But you're not going to like this. It was synced to an internal Wi-Fi network. Maya's stomach turned. Internal, meaning someone here. Nicholas called a closed-door meeting with department heads, keeping his words measured. Until further notice, no one accesses this floor without clearance from me or David. All devices will be scanned daily. If anyone has a problem with that, they can resign today. A murmur of unease moved through the room. Maya scanned faces out of instinct. Miranda looked irritated, a junior analyst looked pale, and Emily at reception kept her eyes down. At lunch, Maya walked Rosie to the break room. They sat with juice boxes and crackers, and Rosie chatted about the planet room again. But mid-sentence, she lowered her voice. Maya, someone was in Daddy's office yesterday. Maya's chest tightened. Why do you think that? Because my drawing was moved, Rosie whispered. I left it next to your stapler, but when I came back, it was by the computer. Maya forced a calm tone. Did you tell Daddy? Rosie shook her head. I thought maybe you moved it. Back in Nicholas's office, Maya closed the door. Rosie noticed her drawing was moved yesterday while we were out. Nicholas's expression hardened. That's the same time the picture of it was taken. David, who had just returned, nodded, which means they weren't hiding from her. They knew she wouldn't tell. The thought made Maya's stomach churn. They were close enough to be in the same space without anyone realizing. He looked at her, the weight in his eyes making the room feel smaller. That won't happen again. By 3, David had a lead. The signal from that pinhole camera was bouncing through multiple devices to mask its origin, but one of those devices is assigned to someone here, someone in your executive admin team. Maya blinked. That's my team. Nicholas's eyes narrowed. Names. David slid a paper across the desk. Maya scanned the list, her heart sinking when she saw it. Aaron Wells. Aaron had been with the company just under a year. He was quiet, polite, the kind of person who remembered birthdays and brought in coffee for everyone on Fridays. He has no reason to, Maya began. Nicholas cut her off. He has access. That's reason enough. David and 2 security guards brought Aaron in less than 20 minutes later. He looked confused, almost amused. What's going on? Aaron asked. Nicholas stayed seated, his tone calm but cold. Tell me why your device was used to connect to an illegal camera in my office. Aaron blinked. What? Wait, my tablet's been glitching all week. I left it on my desk Monday when I went to lunch. Maybe someone... Nicholas's voice cut like steel. Names. Who was near your desk? Aaron hesitated. Emily. She asked if she could borrow a charger. Maya's pulse jumped. David left immediately to find Emily. She was gone, her reception post empty, her personal items cleared out. Building security confirmed she'd left 10 minutes earlier, taking the elevator to the parking garage. Nicholas stood, locked the garage exits. By the time they reached the cameras, Emily's car was already gone. David swore under his breath. She knew we were coming. Maya felt cold all over. She's been here 2 years. She's been here 2 years. She's been around the family dozens of times. Nicholas's eyes were unreadable, but the muscle in his jaw kept ticking. And now she's gone. which means she's either the stalker or working for them. Rosie peeked in just then, holding a paper star she'd cut out. "Maya, can we finish the mobile?" Maya forced a smile. "In a minute, sweetie." Nicholas crouched to her. "Rosie, until I say otherwise, you stay where I can see you. Understand?" Rosie nodded slowly, sensing the seriousness. That night, Maya couldn't shake the image of Emily's easy smile behind the reception desk, and the fact that for weeks she'd had a perfect view of everyone who came and went, including Rosie. She was still thinking about it when her phone buzzed. A blocked number. "Almost crossed paths with you today. Next time, you won't even notice I was there." Attached was a photo of Rosie's Planet Mobile in progress, taken from the hallway, showing the mobile hanging above the table with Maya's coffee beside it. Emily might be gone, but the stalker is still close enough to touch Rosie without anyone noticing. Saturday morning, the air in Nicholas's penthouse felt heavier than usual, like the city outside was holding its breath. Rosie was in her room humming to herself, tying pink ribbons into her braids for the museum visit with Elena. Nicholas stood in the kitchen with Maya and David, going over the plan one last time. "We'll keep it simple," Nicholas said. "Elena thinks it's a normal visit. Rosie doesn't know anything. But the moment they leave, we follow." Maya frowned. "You're using them as bait." Nicholas's jaw tightened. "I'm protecting them. If this person's been watching, they'll think today is their chance. We'll make it a trap." David laid out 2 photos, the hooded figure from the park and Emily's grainy car footage. "If she's working with someone, they'll have to show themselves to make a move. We'll be ready." Maya crossed her arms. "And if it's not Emily?" "Then we'll know," Nicholas said. At 10 a.m., Elena arrived, cheerful but slightly guarded. "Ready for the planet room, Rosie?" "Ready?" Rosie grabbed her small pink backpack, complete with the unicorn keychain, and bounced toward the door. Nicholas crouched to her. "Stay with Mommy, don't wander off." "I know," Rosie said. "Maya's coming too, right?" Maya forced a smile. "I'll meet you there." Nicholas's eyes flicked to Maya, confirmation of their silent agreement. 15 minutes after they left, Nicholas, Maya, and David were in an unmarked SUV half a block behind Elena's car. David had a tablet showing live feeds from the GPS tracker they'd discreetly attached to her bumper. Traffic was light. Elena drove toward the Children's Museum without stopping, but 2 blocks before, a silver sedan pulled in behind her, matching every turn. "That's our shadow," David said. Maya leaned forward. "Can you see the driver?" "Tinted windows," David replied, "but the plate matches a vehicle parked in the West Park lot 2 weeks ago." Nicholas's voice was low, controlled. "Stay close." When Elena parked in the museum's underground garage, the silver sedan rolled in too, settling 3 rows away. The driver didn't get out. Nicholas tapped his earpiece. "David, take the east exit. Maya, you're with me." They split up, circling the car. Maya's pulse hammered in her ears. The driver sat still, hands on the wheel, head down. Nicholas signaled for David to move in. Just as they reached the sedan, the driver started the engine and gunned it toward the ramp. David lunged, but the car swerved, clipping a pillar before disappearing into daylight. "Plate's on camera," David said into his mic. "We'll trace it." Inside the museum, Rosie was pointing excitedly at the star projector in the planet room. Elena knelt beside her, unaware of the chase that had just unfolded. Maya approached, forcing her heartbeat to slow. "How's Orion?" she asked Rosie. "He's huge," Rosie said. "He has a belt and a sword. I'm making Daddy a drawing so he can see too." Nicholas arrived a minute later, his suit jacket gone. Shirt sleeves rolled. He gave Elena a brief nod. "We'll escort you home after this?" Elena's brow furrowed. "Why? What happened?" "Nothing you need to explain to her right now," Nicholas said, glancing at Rosie. After the visit, they left the museum in 2 cars, Elena's in front, Nicholas's SUV following close behind. Halfway home, David's phone buzzed. "It's registered to a shell company," David said of the sedan. Guess who the listed office manager is? Emily, Maya said immediately. David nodded. And that's not all. She booked a one-way ticket out of the country for Tuesday. Destination, Lisbon. Nicholas's hands tightened on the wheel. She won't make that flight. Back at Nicholas's building, they guided Rosie upstairs, while Elena went to get her bag from the car. When the elevator doors closed, Maya turned to Nicholas. If Emily's desperate enough to run, she's desperate enough to do something reckless first. He nodded. Which is why we're ending this before Tuesday. David leaned forward. I can have 2 of my guys posing as maintenance tomorrow. If she tries to come near the building again, we'll know. That evening, Maya sat in Nicholas's office going through the day's security footage when something caught her eye. A manila envelope slipped under the door just after midnight the night before. The angle didn't catch the person's face, only their shoes. Black sneakers with a distinctive red stripe. She remembered seeing those sneakers yesterday on Aaron, the junior admin. Maya's pulse quickened. She took the still image to Nicholas. You need to see this. He studied it for a long moment. Get David. Aaron was brought into the office 20 minutes later looking nervous. What's going on? Nicholas placed the still on the desk. Those yours? Aaron glanced at the shoes in the picture, then down at his own feet. Yeah, but what? Nicholas pressed. Aaron swallowed. Emily asked me to drop it off. Said it was documents for you. I didn't know what was inside. What was inside? Maya asked. Aaron looked between them. I didn't open it. I swear. Nicholas's voice was ice. Where did you meet her? She called me from a number I didn't recognize. Said she was parked near the east loading dock. I was supposed to get it to you before anyone else saw. David returned with the actual envelope. They'd found it still sealed in Nicholas's desk drawer from where someone had placed it early that morning. Spent. Nicholas admitted he'd found it when he arrived and left it there, assuming it was just overdue paperwork. Inside was a single USB drive. Nicholas held it up. If this is what I think it is, Emily's trying to send a message. Maya's stomach knotted. Or a threat. Nicholas looked at David. Scan it. Isolate it from the network. I want to know what's on it by midnight. David nodded and left. Aaron was escorted out with a warning not to leave the city. As the door closed, Maya exhaled. You think Emily's acting alone? No, Nicholas said. And when we open that drive, we'll know who she's working for. He glanced toward Rosie's room, where soft humming could be heard. And then, he added quietly, we end this. Just before midnight, David called. You'll want to see this yourself. On the USB were dozens of images, Nicholas, Maya, and Rosie, in various places over the past month. Most were from a distance, but one stopped Maya cold. A shot of Rosie's bedroom window taken at night, curtains partly open, lights off inside. Nicholas's face was unreadable. That was taken here. David's voice on the line was grim. Which means your problem isn't just Emily or her boss. It's someone with access to your home. Someone has been inside Nicholas's penthouse, closer to the family than anyone imagined. Nicholas didn't speak for a long moment after David's call. His hands rested on the desk, but they looked like they could crush steel. Maya stood in the doorway, staring at the frozen image of Rosie asleep. This was taken in her bedroom, she said quietly. Nicholas's voice was low, which means someone has been in this apartment while we were here, or close enough to get in when we weren't looking. Maya's stomach turned. The doorman? Cleaning staff? No one gets up here without clearance from me, Nicholas said, unless someone gave them a way in. David arrived 20 minutes later with a small black case. If we're doing this, we do it tonight. Nicholas nodded. Explain. David pulled out a series of tiny motion-triggered cameras and 2 audio recorders. We'll plant them in every room, and we'll leave one room unmonitored on purpose, the study. That's where the bait goes. Maya frowned. What kind of bait? Nicholas glanced at her. Something they won't be able to resist. An hour later, the study looked like Nicholas had stepped away in a hurry. On the desk sat a half-open folder marked Custody Agreement Final. Inside, they placed a set of blank papers with a pen resting across the top. Next to it, David positioned a decoy phone with its screen lit to show recent calls, Detective Evans. "We make them think this is the one place they can find out what we know," David said. Nicholas added a small velvet box beside the phone. Maya glanced at it. "That's something personal," Nicholas said. "They'll open it by 1 a.m. The apartment was dark. Nicholas stayed in the living room, pretending to work on his laptop. Maya was in the guest room with Rosie, who had fallen asleep clutching her unicorn keychain. David was in a surveillance van, parked down the block. Eyes on every feed. The minutes crawled. At 1:46, David's voice came through Nicholas's earpiece. Movement in the service stairwell. One subject. Hooded. Nicholas closed the laptop softly and moved toward the hall. In the guest room, Maya's phone buzzed once. David's text. "They're in the study." She slipped out quietly, leaving the door ajar so she could still hear Rosie's breathing. Nicholas was already at the study door, listening. Inside, the hooded figure rifled through the desk drawers. They paused at the folder, flipping through the fake custody papers. Then they opened the velvet box. Nicholas stepped inside. Voice sharp. "Looking for something?" The figure froze, then bolted toward the balcony. Maya cut across the hall to block the exit, but the intruder shoved past her. She stumbled, caught herself, and yelled, "Nicholas!" Nicholas tackled the figure just as they reached the door. The hood came off in the struggle, and, for a second, everything stopped. It wasn't Emily. It was one of the building's night security guards. David burst in seconds later, gun drawn. "Got it covered!" He cuffed the guard while Nicholas yanked him to his feet. "Who sent you?" Nicholas demanded. The guard's lip curled. "You already know." "Emily?" Maya asked. He shook his head slowly, eyes glinting with something almost smug. "She works for someone bigger, someone who doesn't like you having control." His gaze slid to Maya. "And they don't like her being here either." Nicholas's grip tightened. "Names?" The guard just smiled. "Ask your lawyer." They hauled him out. David promising to get answers before morning. Nicholas shut the door and turned to Maya. "Are you hurt?" "I'm fine," she said, though her heart was still pounding. "But Nicholas, he was in here, in the same apartment where Rosie sleeps." His eyes darkened, which means they crossed the line. In the morning, Rosie padded into the kitchen in her socks, rubbing her eyes. "Why were you up so late?" Nicholas hesitated. "Just work, sweetheart." Maya forced a smile. "Everything's fine now." But she could feel it. Nothing about this was fine. The guard's words echoed in her head. "Ask your lawyer." At 8 a.m., David called. "You're going to want to hear this in person. It's not just Emily. It's not just the guard. This is coming from someone who's been close to you for years." Nicholas's voice was steady, but his eyes found Maya's. "Then we end it today. The mastermind is someone from Nicholas's trusted circle, and they've been playing a long game." David arrived just after 9, a thin folder in his hand and a look that told Maya this was going to hurt. Nicholas shut the office door behind them. Rosie was with Elena for the morning, blissfully unaware. David set the folder on the desk and flipped it open. The first page was a photo. Miranda, the CFO, shaking hands with a man Maya didn't recognize. "This," David said, tapping the image, "is Michael Ferris. He owns the shell company that leased the silver sedan, and he's been in business with Miranda for over a decade." Maya frowned. "So Miranda's been working with Emily?" "Worse," David said. "Emily was a hire recommended by Miranda. The guard from last night also came in through a temp agency Miranda's brother runs. This wasn't random. It was an inside operation." Nicholas's jaw tightened. "What's the motive?" David slid another paper forward. "Financial records. Miranda's been quietly moving company funds into an offshore account Ferris controls. You were getting close to uncovering it during the Brindle Tech negotiations. She needed a distraction and leverage. Rosie was that leverage. Maya's stomach turned. She was going to use Rosie to force you to back off? David nodded grimly. Or to make you step down. Nicholas stood, the calm in his voice more dangerous than shouting. Where is she now? In her office, David said. She has no idea we've connected the dots. Nicholas looked at Maya. Stay here. I'm not staying here, Maya replied. She came after Rosie. I'm seeing this through. They found Miranda at her desk, reviewing a spreadsheet. She looked up, smiled faintly. Morning, I was just... Save it, Nicholas said, tossing the folder onto her desk. Ferris, Emily, the guard, offshore accounts. Want to tell me how long you've been planning this? Miranda's expression didn't falter at first. Then she leaned back in her chair, smile fading, long enough to know you'd never see it coming. You used my daughter, Nicholas said, his voice dropping to a dangerous low. You made this company impossible to penetrate, Miranda said. Ferris needed leverage. I gave it to him. It was just supposed to scare you, keep you distracted while we finish the transfers. Scaring a child is your idea of leverage? Maya asked, her voice sharp. Miranda's gaze flicked to Maya. You're the wild card. You've changed him, made him unpredictable. That's dangerous. David stepped forward. We have enough to hand this to the police right now. Miranda shrugged a Morena, but there was a flicker of unease in her eyes. If I'm going down, I'm not going alone. Nicholas leaned in, his voice like ice. You already are. Within minutes, building security escorted her out, David's team ensuring she couldn't touch another file or account. Back in his office, Nicholas sank into his chair. It's over, he said, though his tone carried the weight of everything it had cost. Maya sat opposite him. Rosie can't know any of this, not now. She won't, Nicholas promised. But one day, she'll know we kept her safe. Maya hesitated, then added softly, and she'll know you changed. Nicholas's eyes lifted to hers. Because of you. The words landed heavier than she expected. That afternoon, Rosie came running into the office, waving a drawing. Look, it's Orion with a rainbow shield. The shield is forever now. Nicholas picked her up, holding her close. That's right. Forever. Maya smiled at them, the knot in her chest loosening. That evening, as Maya prepared to leave, Nicholas walked her to the elevator. I meant what I said. You changed things, for me, for her. You did the hard part, she replied. Maybe, Nicholas said softly. But I wouldn't have done it without you. The elevator chimed. As she stepped inside, he reached out, his hand brushing hers, not by accident, but lingering for a heartbeat longer than necessary. Dinner, he said, his voice lower now. Not work, just us. Think about it. Maya met his gaze, something unspoken passing between them. She didn't answer, just smiled, and the doors slid shut, leaving him standing there with that almost smile he only seemed to have around her. 3 days later, Nicholas and Rosie stood in the park watching her fly a kite. Maya sat on the bench nearby, coffee in hand, the sun warm on her face. For the first time in weeks, there were no shadows in the corners, no strange messages, no hooded figures. Rosie ran over, breathless. It's almost in space. Nicholas glanced at Maya, the sunlight catching in his eyes. Maybe we can take her to the planet room ourselves next time. Maya's smile widened. I'd like that. For a moment, they simply looked at each other, the kind of look that said more than either of them was ready to put into words. Rosie looked up at Maya and whispered, See, my plan worked. Maya laughed softly, glancing once more at Nicholas. Maybe it had. Maybe the plan was simply to let them find each other. The worst storms sometimes reveal who stands with you when everything tilts. Nicholas had always believed control was the only way to stay safe, but safety, he'd learned, came from trust, messy, unpredictable human trust. As Rosie laughed under the wide blue sky, he realized the walls he'd built had kept out more than danger. They'd kept out life. And for the first time in years, he was ready to let someone in. The end. Now tell me, if you were Nicholas, would you have been able to trust again after everything that happened? Why? Or why not? Let me know in the comments, because maybe your story is the one someone else needs to hear. And if this story touched your heart in any way, leave a like, subscribe for more stories like this, and rate this story from 0 to 10 in the comments. I'd love to know how it made you feel. You matter, your voice matters, and your presence here means more than you know. Thanks for watching. See you in the next story.